I think rather like a fish being surrounded by water, we're so familiar with a certain set of values that we can't even see it.
It seems like when it comes to celebrating Britishness, that seems to be offensive to some. And
Mm.
is that something that relates to your side of the argument?
I think it's actually even more profound than that. I mean, what do we mean by Britishness? If you say to someone, what are British values? They will usually say something inane about fair play. Well, find me a part of the world that goes around thinking we don't believe in fairness. Or they'll say, we believe in the rule of law. Well, I can think of lots of countries that believe in the rule of law. Or they'll say tolerance. Lots of people around the world would claim to be tolerant. I think rather like a fish being surrounded by water, we're so familiar with a certain set of values that we can't even see it. And it's far more elemental and basic than some of these late 1990s, early noughties attempts by politicians like Gordon Brown to define Britishness. I think in the Western world there is an understanding that knowledge is acquired incrementally, that all that there is to know is not revealed in a book, the Torah or the Quran or the Bible, but all that there is to know can never be known because future generations will know more than we know, and that knowledge is revealed by a process of trial and error. It's in that philosophical understanding that I think you get the seeds of the scientific revolution. So, before we can even define what it is to be British, I think we need to recognize that there is a certain set of intellectual characteristics and philosophical characteristics that are Western, and they are unlike any other thought process in the world. Now, a lot of people would be very uncomfortable in even touching on, dwelling on any of this. And so they revert to talking about Britishness as being about fair play and all the cliches that we're familiar with. I think we need to recognize that there is something different about the West and different about Britain from the rest of the West. And once we do that, we can then say, well, what is it about the way other cultures living in Britain think that is compatible or incompatible with that tradition? And I think we may sometimes come to very comfortable and reassuring conclusions. I think there are people from some cultures who can very readily integrate into that Western set of thought. But there are some cultural traits that are going to be very difficult to integrate into that Western mindset. I think we need to be honest about it.